The Quick Diz News is part of the Quick Diz Takes family of podcasts.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hello, I'm Michael Eisner.
Oh boy! What's up, guys, and welcome to the Quick Diz News, episode number 22. I am your host, Tim LeBeau, alongside Miss Sarah Castano.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Mr. John Castano.
Hello.
And I got to be honest with you guys, not feeling that hot this week, so I'm going to try to get right into this. Before I do, though, I do want to say one thing, one little tiny thing. Pertaining to the Scarlett Johansson Disney lawsuit dispute, I've seen lots of people on Twitter kind of laying into Scarlett Johansson, saying she's greedy, she's this, she's that, she should be lucky to be Black Widow, yada, yada, yada. And while, yes, she should be lucky to be Black Widow, I have to say that in my personal opinion, and you can let me have it on Twitter because I'm going to tweet this out later as well, I don't think she's being out of line on this issue. I think that they owe her that money. And I was disgusted, borderline disgusted, probably just disgusted, that they even came out and said something along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing, that she needs to understand that the world is going through a crazy pandemic right now, and that this is in bad taste for her to be arguing about this, as Disney continues to use the COVID pandemic as an excuse to raise prices on everything, including charging $30 for a movie in the house, which I don't think is an awful thing. I think it's okay. But if you have a deal with someone that says they're supposed to be getting a percentage of a theater cut, then that should also be pertaining into the contract, because those are theater numbers. And don't tell me that you didn't think even a little bit that you were going to get away with that when you did that. So
if it was the other way around, Disney would be pursuing everything to the full extent. So
Absolutely.
And
they're hypocritical.
Yes, and it aggravates me. And it just, since Chayback has taken over, it's just nonstop. And also, sad side note to this whole thing, the Tower of Terror film is now on hold because Scarlett Johansson was supposed to produce it, and they are cutting ties with her.
Effective immediately, and that's one of our stories today.
Yep. So, I don't know. It just bothered me. I think I mentioned it to Sarah in a text earlier this week. I just seen that. I was like, I cannot believe they had the gall to say something like try to play that card when you're sitting here jacking up prices left and right, and taking advantage of people. So, all right. Now, without further ado, Sarah, if you would, please read the news, because my reading of the news last week was not that good.
I do appreciate you taking over for us, Tim. You did a fantastic job.
Oh, no problem. I just, it was kind of weird. Like, I'm reading it. There's no one there to talk to about it.
Nice.
So I just got it out there and kind of made a couple comments and moved on my way.
All right, we're going to start with quick just mention. So Disney has posted more job in the past. We talked about some mousekeeping and some frontline cooks that they were looking for. Then this time they're looking to hire both Skyliner and Monorail cast members. So if that's a little more your speed, interacting with guests, then Disney's the place. Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor held its soft open ahead of schedule. Originally, it was set to reopen on August 8th at noon, but the attraction was open to guests beginning on the 5th. We were actually there the day that they soft opened. The show is scheduled to open at noon daily through mid-September, and then we anticipate a schedule change as they approach the 50th a little bit closer. Magic Kingdom's Liberty Square Riverboat will be closing briefly for a short refurbishment in a few weeks. It will be closed August 23rd and reopen again on September 1st. We did get news of a new Haunted Mansion Muppet special coming to Disney Plus this fall. No additional details have been released at this time, but as I get them, I'll let you guys know. Epcot's Nine Dragons restaurant joins the list of restaurants that have reopened recently. As of the 7th, they have reopened Tuesday through Saturday from 4:30 to close on a walk-up only basis. At this point, no reservations accepted. They anticipate that will change later on as time goes on. Disney has confirmed that the torches that currently surround the World Showcase Lagoon at Epcot have been renovated since their initial 2000 installation for illuminations, and it will be part of the upcoming nighttime spectacular Harmonious. According to a social media post by Imagineer Zach Ridley, quote, storytelling by firelight, these torches are fierce, insert some fire emojis here, and a core part of spectacular experience each night at the World Showcase Lagoon. Later on in his post, he does go on to confirm they will continue their use from illuminations to Epcot Forever, now into Harmonious. We also have, as the cooler weather eventually will get here, Disney's Boo Bash has started. It started this past weekend, and along with that comes all the Halloween merchandise. So with that, Disney has tried to limit the sale to prevent reselling to 2 guests per person. So that seems effective and helpful. But the 50th anniversary merchandise released earlier today, which is August 12th, and many guests were upset and took to social media to share pictures of people with strollers overflowing with anniversary merchandise, taking to social media saying how they're upset that stores are already sold out. But don't worry, cast members anticipate more shipments. It's only the first day, kind of defeating the purpose of, an eventual rollout. Just kind of upsetting to see that a shirt that retails in the store for about $60 or $70 is already up on eBay for almost $100. Tumblers like insulated coffee cups that are normally $35 are on there for almost $70. Pins, annual pass holder pins are up to like $60, and normally they're not $60. So it's frustrating, and Johnny and I were talking about it earlier, how people with a pass holder discount are getting this merchandise and scooping it up at a reduced rate as the pass holder discount, and then they're selling it for way more than it sells in the park, making these huge profits. So I know that Disney's trying to minimize that by a 2 per person per size, but I think we need to kind of take a look at what's going on when you see strollers with no children in them overflowing with the exact same size shirt in multiple forms. The parade, view, dining, and dessert party are coming back to Oogie Boogie Bash along those same lines. Disney website announces that the Disney Very Merriest After Hours are coming soon on select nights November to December of this year. Again, as more details are released, we will keep you guys up to date. And last up on our quick Diz mentions, Disney is cracking down on guests who have used the rider swap feature on their more popular attractions, limiting how many in Party 1 will be able to ride again. So the instructions now specifically state, if the person in Party 2 waited alone with a child or non-riding guest, the number of guests who may join him or her on the ride again is limited. So the person is able to go in line and I believe take one other person with them, if at all. And that's up to the discretion of the cast member, judging by the time of the anticipated wait time on the ride. So that's what I have for quick Diz mentions, if anybody wants to weigh in.
I honestly have nothing to say about any of that stuff this week anyway. It's all kind of minor stuff. I guess just there's nothing you can really, either you're going to limit the merchandise or not. If you don't limit it, then the people are going to buy it in droves and sell it. There's not much else to say about it. So, and even if you limit it, they're going to find ways around it. So
absolutely. Someone had commented that a woman in a photo I had commented on is a personal shopper. And that's what she does. That's how she makes her living, is she uses her annual pass. She goes in and gets merchandise at a discount and she sells it to guests for, whatever the cost is. They pay the shipping and then an additional fee on top of that. So this woman is literally making her living off of reselling Disney merchandise that people who are currently in the parks can't get.
Is what it is, I guess.
Onward and upward.
Yep.
So moving on to our quick Diz mentions. On August 5th, saw the testing of the Walt Disney World Railroad in the parks. Guests were able to hear the recognizable whistle of the train as cast members did confirm that the Walter E. Disney is out of the maintenance roundhouse and was testing backstage. So hopefully another step in the right direction. I know some of the scaffolding and the scrim was down a little bit more on our second day of Magic Kingdom than it was on the first. So I think we're on a good track to getting our rail station back. Snow White is the most recent character and Disney princess to rejoin meeting guests from a socially distanced spot in the German pavilion of Epcot. She now joins Anna and Elsa, Mulan, Jasmine, and Aurora in the World Showcase, and then Winnie the Pooh, Joy, and Mickey and Minnie socially distanced elsewhere in the parks. Disney has added additional dates for extended park hours in October. The additions of Epcot on October 18th and Magic Kingdom on the 20th continue an ongoing trend of extended evening hours on Mondays in Epcot and Wednesdays in the Magic Kingdom. Speaking of Magic Kingdom, according to their Vice President, Melissa Valaquette, progress is being made on the Splash Mountain re-theme to Princess and the Frog. While scaffolding has been installed on the exterior of the attraction, Valaquette stated, quote, "It's going to take some time, and the decisions being made can take many months, even years before any of it will be seen on stage," quote. The rethemed attraction will pick up after the story where the final kiss happened, joining Princess Tiana and Louis on a musical adventure featuring some music from the film as they prepare for their first ever Mardi Gras performance. So we were able to ride it while we were down there. It was night, but I did notice a few transitional sections of the ride that was missing stuff. All of the decorations on the side and especially on the ceiling noticeably were absent. So you kind of had these few small gaps of just black from kind of one section to another. So I don't know if that was part of them getting ready to take things down and retheme, but if she's saying months, even years till we see a finished product on stage, I'm thinking maybe not. And I just never noticed. So we are getting there, but it just will take time.
We did see the scaffolding on one of the lift, not the big, one of the lift hills on the outside part. There was scaffolding up. So
yeah, when you're looking at it towards the left, I think.
And then you could definitely tell, especially in the laughing place with the jumping water, if stuff doesn't work, they're not even attempting to fix it anymore because there was only a little bit of jumping water and stuff. And then even that one scene, I know it had broken down a while ago where Brer Rabbit, you actually see the animatronic hop. Now they just have a projection of a shadow of Brer Rabbit running and Brer Fox and Brer Bear chasing him. So it's they're not even it is whatever Splash Mountain is now, that's what it will be till the change.
Yeah, there's going to be no updating or fixing things that aren't kind of run its course. In other news, Mears Connect has released their introductory rates for transportation from Orlando International Airport to Walt Disney World. So standard service, there'll be two levels. There'll be standard service and premium level. So standard service is a shared ride service on a Mears Connect, either bus or van, that is economical as the fare includes all tolls and surcharges. The connection will make a limited number of stops and will have you on your way to your resort within 20 minutes of your check-in to the Mears Connect reception area. The premium level of service is a direct service with limited to no wait time. It also includes all tolls and surcharges. So price point, you're looking at standard one-way service, $16 per adult or $13.50 per child. And the standard round trip service is $32 per adult, $27 per child. So there's no real value in savings if you do a round trip. It's literally the same cost. The premium round trip service, however, is $200 and includes up to 4 passengers. So the premium service per additional passenger is $55. So that's for the direct, immediate, more of a private, I guess, type service from the airport to your hotel. They are currently open and accepting 2022 bookings. So if you have a trip planned and you know that Magical Express is not an option, Mears Connect's got you covered.
I had to assume Disney's going to drop the fee they used to charge for the Magical Express so you can put it towards that.
I'm sure they will.
No, I doubt it.
I'm also guessing that this is probably
room rates.
Obviously, it's going to. Yeah, it says introductory rates, but I also imagine that
I'm saying Disney's room rates will go up instead of going down.
I'm thinking that this is. I won't say it's the same price that Disney was being charged per guest because now they're on their own, using their own name, establishing themselves instead of going under the Disney brand. Mm-hmm. But if you imagine a child, $13.50 per child, what was, Disney's costs? So just kind of stuff to flow out there. And then I do have a slight deviation. Oh, go ahead.
Nothing. I hate that stuff. Anyway.
I have a slight deviation from our pretty exclusively Disney news report, but it does connect to Disney towards the end, I promise. So we had previously reported on how Disney Cruise Line was doing test cruises and test runs out of Florida, trying to get their sailings back going up out of Port Canaveral. So proof of vaccination can now be required for Florida-based cruises. So we know that many cruise lines staying out of Florida have been requiring proof of a negative COVID test prior to sailing, regardless of your vaccination status. But now things have changed. According to a post made on August 10th, a preliminary ruling issued on the 8th by a district judge allows cruise lines to require proof of vaccination before passengers are allowed to board any ship. This ruling directly contradicts Governor DeSantis's bill fining companies $5,000 per person for asking for proof of vaccination. So this move comes in light of Norwegian Cruise Line's fight against the vaccination passport ban started by Governor DeSantis, arguing that the ban jeopardizes public health and is an unconstitutional infringement on Norwegian's rights to protect its employees and its passengers. So if DeSantis had been allowed to enforce the ban against Norwegian Cruise Line, the company would have faced a penalty of $5,000 per passenger, increasing at their discretion, I suppose, because it did say 5,000 plus, or starting at 5,000, I think was the wording. However, with the judge blocking the law, Norwegian is now allowed to proceed with their plan to resume port activities in Miami on the 15th. The company has stated their intention is to, quote, operate cruises from Florida with 100% guests and crew vaccinated. Quote, they have chosen to require proof of vaccination in lieu of conducting test sailings and negative COVID tests of others, as others have. Attesting to the CDC, it would confirm at least 95% of passengers have been vaccinated, and this may pave the way for Disney Cruise Line, among others. So we know that Disney is trying to get their cruise lines back up. They do have some sailings and some test cruises going on currently, but this could hopefully open things up a little bit faster, that they don't have all these other hoops to jump through if they can also jump on board with the proof of vaccination. So getting into the headlines, we have a few. So Disneyland Hong Kong sees progress on their Frozen Land. So announced in 2016 at the D23 Expo, the highly anticipated Frozen-themed land will be home to unique attractions, authentic atmosphere, and when allowable, due to COVID reasons, guests will even be able to bump into characters from the films. So from photos posted on Twitter by user HKDL Fantasy, brick walls have appeared next to the clock tower, as well as the base of the clock tower starting to take shape according to the artist renderings that were released at the convention. Village houses have received their prefabricated rooftops, and crews were seen working diligently in the area. So planned for the area for their big ride attraction is Wandering Oaken's Sliding Sleighs roller coaster, a ride that will take guests on a journey through Arendelle after paying a visit to Oaken's famous store. So while no opening date has been announced, progress, which had been halted for quite some time, continues to be made, and that's a happy thing.
They're not putting in a sauna? Not putting in a sauna for all the adults? All the kids ride the ride?
It should be. Is it going to be? It looks like it's going to be kind of like an underwhelming version of the Mine Train.
Maybe. I just hope there's.
But I'm going to keep hopes up. I'm not going to get on.
A blowout. I hope that's in there somewhere.
It hasn't opened, so I'm not going to say anything about it. It looks like it. It looked very similar to the Mine Train.
I hope there's no virtual queue.
Oh, the virtual queues.
All right, next up, we do have a little more information on what we talked about at the very top of the show about Disney cutting all ties with Scarlett Johansson. In light of the lawsuit between Disney and the actress, Disney has announced they are ending their professional relationship with Scarlett Johansson, instantly halting any current or future projects involving her, including the recently announced movie Tower of Terror. So the lawsuit filed by Johansson against Disney involves streaming rights. So as we know, Disney released the Marvel film Black Widow, both in theaters and on their streaming platform, Disney Plus, on the same day, which was weird because we saw it in a theater and you ordered it streaming. However, the actress's legal team calls this a breach of her contract, which was negotiated back in 2017, claiming the fact that Disney promised the film would be a theater exclusive, which makes sense because they knew in 2017 about an eventual release in 2020. So claiming the fact that Disney promised it would be a theater exclusive, Johansson's pay and bonuses were linked to the film's box office performance, meaning that the simultaneous release on two different platforms could dramatically reduce the earnings of the actress, along with any others who had similarly negotiated contracts. So according to her legal team, they did reportedly try to renegotiate the contract with Disney when they announced the Disney Plus release was going to happen. However, Disney allegedly ignored the renegotiation request and released the film regardless. So I absolutely am on her side in this negotiation. Like Johnny said before, if it were the other way around, Disney would absolutely be pursuing it. I think Scarlett Johansson is probably just the biggest name who had this negotiated in, because I'm sure they made the comment about people who had similarly negotiated contracts. I'm sure they don't have as much of a social media presence and as much of a following as maybe Scarlett Johansson. So
you know how this all could have been avoided? Is if they released a Black Widow movie years ago when she deserved to have her own movie and not waited till her character died in the Marvel universe and then give her a solo movie. Black Widow movie years ago.
I'm glad this happened.
But I mean, at least this will set a precedent to something.
just shows the true, you know, my frustrations. As much as I like Disney, of course, my frustrations with them continue. They're, with this, at least I don't know if it's just this regime now or what, but it's ugly. You know, they didn't release it for free, but they made sure they released this one for $30 a pop because you know why? Because they knew they were going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And
all those every Marvel movie made $1 billion, so of course.
And they wanted it, and they didn't want to pay her. And the estimation is 50 million. I don't know. I mean, the movie made $64 million over budget on its theater release, and it's still going. And then I think another 60 or 70 million dollars on Disney Plus. So it's made its money. Disney wants to keep it all because they're hurting because of COVID.
I do have a little bit more on that.
That's such a joke.
It's not something that's in the news, but I did want to talk about it very quickly at the end, just because I saw it shortly before we came on. So I just want to talk about our last headline real quick, and then we'll get into the Q3 earnings that Bob Chapek spoke about today. So our last headline is about space. So Space 220 will be officially open on October 1st for their 50th anniversary. And with a price point that is most likely much more reasonable than what I'm going to talk to you about, I imagine that reservations are going to go super fast. So Disney released their pricing for the new Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Resort at Hollywood Studios. And they did say, I love you already, Tim. While pricing varied depends on your voyage departure date, the number of guests staying in your cabin and cabin type, we do have some information at pricing starting points. And here's what we know for voyage departure dates: most weeknights from August 20th, 2022 to September 17th, 2022. A very short time frame as soon as it opens. So we do know it's required a 2-night stay, and that's it. For 2 people in a room, 2-person room, it's $1,209 per person per night. So your voyage total is $4,809. For a 3-person room, it's $889 per person per night. So a $5,299 voyage total. And for a 4-person room, which they specifically denoted was 3 adults and 1 child, which realistically will more be 2 adults, 2 children, I feel. It will be $749 per person per night for a $5,999 voyage total.
It's gonna be there's gonna be no kids in that room. It's gonna be 4 adults.
Yes. So these are all.
I won't be one of them.
Cabins, absolutely not. These are all for standard cabins. So it said each standard cabin is fitted with furnishing and fixtures designed to ensure comfort while traveling throughout the galaxy, including a pull-out table and a TV with entertainment from your home planet and a window with a view out into space. It sleeps 4 to 5 passengers. That would be a 1 queen bed, 2 berths, so bunk beds for 1 adult each, and a wall pull down for 1 adult if it's sleeping 5. It'd have a mini fridge, a hair dryer, an in-cabin safe, phone with voicemail messaging, interactive TV, and of course the Disney H2O Plus spa, bath, and shower products. That's what you're getting for about $5,000 to $6,000 for 2 nights. That's the standard cabin.
Carrie and I went to Italy for 10 days and spent $5,000.
Including your airfare, your hotel, your dining, your absolutely. Yep.
Oh, no, we might have spent a little more with the dining. But
let's just, even if it was $7,000.
Everything we needed to get there and stay there with a private tour guide in 3 different locations. $5,000. These people want me to come pay that price for 2 nights to watch people pretend.
Mm-hmm.
They want me to pay $5,000 to LARP. We could have our friend Chris come over. I got a 65-inch TV in the living room. I could put some stars.
I have a projector and a projector screen. We can do stuff outside.
We can make a project on the window. And we can make a galactic Tiverton Star Cruiser.
Let's do it. And we can only charge $300. No,
and you can come over my house and if you want to give me $5,000, by all means.
So along with the pricing, the initial pricing, a sample itinerary was also released, which included a boarding pass on Rise of the Resistance. So for $5,000, you can guarantee yourself 1 boarding pass.
How do I not get unlimited rides on Rise of the Resistance if I paid that money?
Well, here's the best part. It's not until day 2 of your stay. So you get, you arrive at the terminal, your orientation, your light refreshments, all of that mumbo jumbo. That all happens on day 1 with your captain's reception, you have your muster, all of that. On day 2, you get breakfast at 7 a.m. It only goes until 8. So I guess all of these galactic explorers, no one sleeps in.
You got to get your money's worth.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
You're up
that's
early.
the thing too. Is that you gotta, let's face the facts, you're gonna sleep at least 6 hours.
But that's for the hotel. That doesn't like, I'm going to stay at a hotel and not leave this hotel for 2 days, essentially, except for Rise of Resistance, apparently.
Sarah, how can you leave? You're in outer space.
You're in space. Jeez.
And does and
Over my head.
and does it? Wait, that's all. Is it all? Did you say that was all inclusive with the food and drinks though?
It didn't say that it wasn't. The itinerary includes like your dinner and all of that. So I imagine it includes your food, but still.
Doesn't make it any better. I'm just asking.
No. It does say, it does have, and this is what I loved about the itinerary, is the story moment and unexpected story moment. But the unexpected story moment is scheduled after your 7:30 outer room regalia.
I'm gonna say it right here and right now. This is gonna be a bust. At first, it's gonna open. Everyone's gonna say it's great because all the people that are gung ho about it are gonna go do it. Once it settles, I can't see it happening.
You can't even just explore. You literally have an itinerary. So from 7:30 to 8 p.m. is your unexpected but scheduled story moment. So
That's funny.
for example, you might prove your mettle to join an elite smuggling ring or hide a stowaway to help the resistance. Why are you... what? This is supposed to be unexpected.
And that's what I mean. There's no way they can...
No.
With the exception of having Harrison Ford and like Mark Hamill and the original cast of Star Wars somehow surprising you on this trip, like there's no way they can ever meet expectations for that price.
No.
Just
And so they have
ridiculous.
special atrium entertainment from 8:30 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. So that's...
You know how fast 2 days go?
especially when they're scheduled out like this. So you do have your one guaranteed spot on Rise of the Resistance. It happens from 9:30 a.m. to 9:50 a.m. So you have a 20-minute window.
And you have to get up to go do it in the morning.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's from 8:45 to 9:30. I was looking at the wrong spot.
So stupid.
I was looking at your planned story moment from 9:30 to 9:50. That's your planned story moment.
So are they doing the whole like docking and Galaxy's Edge thing too? Apparently.
So on day 1, you arrive at the terminal at 1 o'clock because that's your normal check-in at hotels anyways. You said 3? I don't know. 1:15 to 1:30 is your launch pod to the Star Cruiser, your ship orientation, 1:45 to 2:15, light refreshments, sabacc lessons, muster, captain's reception, all these things. This is all day 1. Day 2 has your breakfast from 7 to 8, your transport shuttle to Batuu, your Rise of the Resistance until 9:30, and then you have a story moment, I guess, in Batuu. Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run from 10 to 10:30. Lunch at Docking Bay 7 from 11:15 to 12:15.
So
you get your
basically,
transport
so
shuttle
now,
back to the Star
what time did you say that Rise is until?
Rise is from 8:45 to 9:30.
So basically now everybody else gets
Regular boarding groups are suspended, I imagine.
so they get a less half hour. So now your chances for getting a boarding group are diminished by a half hour. So if you're staying just regular, you get less of a chance of getting a boarding group now.
Are other guests in Batuu while you're
I believe
in
so. Because this is going to be running simultaneously and the park opens. Like the boarding groups begin at 7, and as soon as the queue is full, they start loading at 8?
No.
I mean, maybe on...
No, I mean, well, we were there, the park didn't open till 9. So that's why I'm getting, so I'm assuming the regular groups don't get to start till 9:30, 10 o'clock. So you're losing a chance of getting a boarding group as they're just.
You can still get it. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but
your chances
still
are
get a boarding group. You have a half hour less to get there, or maybe they delay calling them by a half hour. I'm not sure.
I know what I'm saying. If there's 1,000, you got to take away
right
100 or 50, 75. So I'm just saying your chances are even less. Whether it be a small chance, but you still less chances of getting a boarding group.
I'm done with Star Wars in the music parks.
Looking at this, your $5,000 to $6,000 stay, you are literally only on Batuu from 8:25 in the morning until 12:50 the entire stay. That's your only time off the Galactic Star Cruiser. is that small window where you have your transport shuttle, Rise of the Resistance, a story moment, Millennium Falcon, lunch at Docking Bay 7, and then you're back on a transport shuttle.
At those prices, there ought to be an exclusive state-of-the-art Rise of Resistance level type dock ride only for the people that stay on that Star Cruiser at that price.
So on the second day where you have all of these things, you do have lightsaber training, droid racing competitions. You're building a model ship. You have a sabacc tournament, cocktails at the Sublight Lounge, taste around the galaxy dinner, another story moment, and then a spectacular finale from 10 to 11. You have breakfast the next morning, and your launch pod back to the terminal is at 9:30.
So it's not even 2 full days.
No, it's afternoon of day 1. You sleep there a full day. You sleep there, and then you're out by 10 o'clock is the last launch.
Yeah.
For $5,000 to $6,000, you too can experience that. So, with that being said, due to the extremely high cost and consumer reactions to this announced pricing, Disney did actually put out a couple days later a release stating that these prices are for a hotel experience and that people are not actually going out into space. I'm imagining this.
I would imagine you would have, you know what? You should specify that, because for that price, Jeff Bezos might take me up on his little
literally my thought, like
phallic-shaped shuttle into outer space.
Mm-hmm. So people were contacting Disney and saying, okay, so I actually get to go into space. Like, this is cheaper than, no. This is an interactive, immersive experience.
We're going to make pretend, basically.
We're going to have a puppet show. No, sorry.
Might as well. It's literally some guy who just took a couple of drags off his, took a couple of vapes, threw on a uniform. It's like, hey, I'm Mr., I'm a Martian. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah. I'm going to pay $5,000 for that clown. Nope, not doing it.
I will say I thought it was going to be $1,000 minimum per person, no matter what tier. So $749 per person with 4 people is better than I thought.
I thought it was going to be $600. That was my thought.
Yeah.
And which I thought was plenty obnoxious enough per night. So $600 a night, $4,800 for a family of 4.
So people are upset. They're pricing out the average consumer. And they're frustrated because they know people who are able to are absolutely going to pay for it. And that's what Disney's banking on. And then they're just going to price out people who would never be able to have the experience, because people will pay that price and Disney will keep it, if not increase it as time goes on.
But the people who pay that price, they're just getting conned. I can pay that price if I wanted to.
Right.
We could all do it. I could do so many much better things.
You could do, yeah.
And then I always go back to what you say, those families that come from England or from wherever, those once in a lifetime trips, is this going to be on their itinerary? Is this going to push out what they're able to save and spend? Like, how much further ahead in time they're going to be able to do this, because now they have to save this extravagant amount of money for 2 days, when that $6,000 could be their lodging, hotel, and park tickets.
And you could, yeah, I would rather, I'll take my chances of getting a Rise of Resistance boarding group, and I can have 3 extra nights and days, in the parks than or 3 or 4 nights. I'd rather do that than.
Me too. And I'm at the point where if I don't get Rise, I don't get it. I get it. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal to me.
There's nothing exclusive happening in the park piece that really makes me go, I want it. I have to do this. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. It's a lottery system for Rise. I've been able to do it. Docking Bay 7, Smuggler's Run. All of these are doable things. So you don't have to pay that much money to experience these things.
Just wait an hour before closing. You can get on Smuggler's Run 2-3 times if you really want. So.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to give me a free Rise, that's fine. But that should be like when I check out the next morning, 9:30, whatever you just said, the checkout time, I'm out of there. Then you give me my free Rise. Don't suck my time that I just spent. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. I would never do it. It's ridiculous. People that do it, I guarantee you are going to be disappointed. There's no way you meet expectations. If you're not disappointed, then you just chump. All right, next.
All right, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about briefly that I just have on my phone, I didn't get to type up notes for it, is Bob Chapek spoke earlier today, the 12th, about their third quarter earnings call. So overall, they're talking about how they finally have made a profit and they're getting money. So we can stop with these crazy astronomical prices and the price hikes for less of services while still maintaining guest safety. That's from me, dear Bob J-Pack, love me. However, he does talk about the Disney Genie again. And I know we had talked about it a little bit when it had kind of gone off the map and we thought like the virtual queues and all of that was going to be something that sticks around. So he talks about how the multi-tiered Disney Genie has kind of been revamped a little. It says, we're very, very excited about this new service. We'll be providing additional details soon, but the goal will appear in the user-friendly app is to create a better, more personalized and customized experience for guests. It puts them in control and providing even greater flexibility and choice. They will be able to spend less time waiting in line and figuring out what attractions and dining options are available and more time having fun. So we talked about how it's going to be transformational to guest experiences, talking about how the Disney Genie program is kind of like the My Magic Plus on steroids and how it will improve the experience dramatically, saying it takes consumer preferences noted from our consumers, given what we note from them, and blend it with industrial engineering data in terms of how the park is operating that day, melding them together to make suggestions on the fly. Not only that will lead to improved guest experience and lead to a substantial commercial opportunities as the guests navigate their day. So they're talking about commercial opportunities. So they're talking about spending more money in the parks. So they're going to optimize it so that you're spending more time around merchandise and buying things. And then PS, you can go ride this ride right now. So you talked about the yield, which would be our income going to them, and how it's transformational for that, meaning we don't know if initially there'll be a free unpaid version of Genie. If you want additional services, you pay for it, or if it's going to be like your first day with Genie is free. If you like it, then you have to pay for it, or something along those lines. But the call that he made giving them the Q3 earnings, talking about the Disney Genie planning your day, seems like there will be some paid portion to it, which I feel we're just like, okay, just tell us pricing at this point so we can just brace ourselves. I feel like everything that they come out with designed to help us with our day and get us, more time having fun instead of waiting in lines and all of that is just pricing. So again, additional details will be provided soon. We originally heard about the Disney Genie at the D23 Expo 2 years ago. It kind of went by the wayside. We thought maybe, the Disney Mobile Magic. Is that what it was? We thought maybe that was what Genie was supposed to be, but they never changed the name. But it seems like it's coming back. They did a little revamping, and as I'm sure we'll have a price point to it. I know. What do you say to that?
Oh, lame. Don't like Bob Chapek.
I had no idea.
Can't stand him. Although I think no matter what, it's going to be, if the CEO is always going to have to play ball now. So the price gouging is just getting ridiculous. So it's only a matter of time before it just gets like every single thing is going to be an extra paid service. There's got to be certain things just come with the vacation already.
Yeah. And if you think about, like, we've been watching the behind the attraction stuff, and they always bring it back to, this is what Walt's vision was. This is what his dream was. This is what he wanted. This is what he didn't want for his park and what he didn't want his park to become. And every time they add like, oh, this will be a paid service, this is an additional price. When I think about the paid fast passes, Walt didn't want that. Walt didn't want it to be an additional piece. That's what part of why the tickets, the ABCDE, the ticket books went away, because he didn't want it to be, he just wanted admission to the park to encompass everything. I mean, obviously except food and like souvenirs, but your experience in the park was to be based on just that, your experience, not what you could afford or not afford. If you got entry into the park, you could access what was there as far as entertainment and attractions were at the time. So it's just frustrating. I feel like maybe the Disney execs need to watch this behind the attraction series and kind of get that back in their head, that that's not what the intention of the park was. If you need to increase price tickets to do that, instead of nickel and diming every service within the park, then do that. Like you're saying, Tim, be upfront about it. I want to pay for my vacation ahead of time and not think about it while I'm there.
The problem is they found so many ways, even going back to the 80s, to just pound Disney into our heads that it's just advertising non-stop. We were in Boston at a doctor's appointment today, and we went to the Burlington. Oh, we're not in Boston, we're in Burlington, which is right outside of Boston. And we went into the Burlington Mall to get some Chick-fil-A, and there's a Disney store in there. And it's like, we're in there for like less than a minute, and my wife's already like, "I want to go to Disney," and I get it because it is fun, but it's just they just know, and then you go on Facebook with a gazillion groups. There's a gazillion podcasts. It's like it's just everything. It's just gonna keep going till enough people put a stop to it, which I don't know when that's gonna be or how that's gonna play out. But we all have our breaking points. We'll get, and they keep pushing. We'll get there sooner or later. You know, we're paying $200 a night plus for value resorts and $5,000 for big trips to outer space and stuff. This is, to me, it's all lame. But I am exhausted. Sarah, are we done?
Yes, sorry. I clicked above microphone instead of unmuting. Yes, I just had a small human out of bed. But yes, that was our last one. I didn't get a chance to throw it in the notes, but I came across the Bob Chapek, and we're always talking about how Disney's, that we're not making money. Well, you just announced Q3 earnings that you are. So
Fine.
enough is enough, Chapek.
Cry babies, Chapek. All right. Well, because of my exhaustion, I am going to bed. We will talk to you guys next week, and we'll see you on the podcast on Tuesday. So take care and have a good week.